Hello, fellow human. Hope you guys have a great day, and let's read some more slash I don't work here lady stories. To the first one. Nice little old lady mistakes me for an employee. I helped her out and get an unexpected bonus in the end. So this happened to me about 3 years ago, so I don't remember the super fine details. I stopped off at a local Wally World to do some shopping, groceries, cleaning supplies, and some vehicle maintenance supplies. I had went through there like a store, picking up what I needed as far as non-food items with my reusable bags in the kiddie seat. So, the only thing left to get were the groceries. Cue the nice old lady. As I'm getting ready to grab what I needed, a little old lady comes up to me for help. Keep in mind the store employee dress code, a colored navy blue shirt, khaki or black pants, and a blue vest with the company logo. I'm wearing a black metallical t-shirt, light blue jeans, and a black baseball cap. OL is old lady, me is self-explanatory. Old lady. Excuse me, can you help me? I had been trying to get some help for a while, but all of your other coworkers have just blown me off. Me. I'm sorry, but I don't work here. Old lady. She takes a minute to see what I'm wearing, and then it clicks. Oh dear, I'm so sorry. It's just that I'm having a hard time trying to reach this. It's not easy being vertically challenged. Her words, not mine. And being ignored by a bunch of lazy staff. It also doesn't help that my back is bothering me right now. My advice never gets old. Me. I chuckled a bit after her last line. Oh, trust me, you're preaching to the choir. Anytime I ask if they have more of a certain item in the back, the tired excuse I get is, if it's not on the shelf, we don't have it. The only exception is the automotive department. Those guys actually do check. At that point, I reach up and grab the item she needed and hand it to her. Anyhow, here you go. Old lady. Oh, thank you. I really appreciate the help. I really hate to be a bother, but could you help me reach some of the items I cannot get? Again, I'm vertically challenged, and it's really painful for me to bend over. Me. I think about for a minute, and figure to do my good deed for the day. Sure, I'll help you out. It's not like any of the employees are jumping at the chance to earn their paychecks anyway, am I right? Old lady. Oh, I know what you mean, lol. So, I'm helping out the nice old lady, getting the things that she cannot get, getting some of the things I needed as well, and this carried on for about 20 minutes. After she got what she needed, she thanked me for help and started making her way down towards the checkout area. I finished up with my shopping and checked out. I paid for my stuff and left. As soon as I had everything I paid for in my house, I started putting things away, collapsing my reusable bags as I go. The bags I had were foldable with a flap. Went down, helped keep the bottom of the bag open and rigid. I get to the last bag, fold up the flap, and to my surprise, there was a $100 bill and a note thanking me for the help and the kindness shown. I never saw the nice little old lady after that. Oh, that is so sweet. She blessed your blessing. Awesome. The second story, 404. The hotel you wanted to stay at no longer exists. Back in the late 90s, I worked at a bar in a small town in rural Ireland. About like 500 people, 3 pubs, 1 hotel. It's a wee seaside village and quite picturesque, and is therefore plagued by tourists during any holidays. We lived directly opposite to the hotel. The hotel was about to be razed to the ground and rebuilt without 60 years of nicotine strains. The demolition was due to start in January, and the work was due to be complete sometime in 2003. It's a small town, everyone knows everything as long as it's about someone else's business. The hotel's reception phone number is 1 number away from my parents' landline number. It's New Year's Eve, or more accurately, around 4 a.m. on New Year's Day. I'm home for my shift dealing with drunk idiots that, as this was the 90s, want nothing but Baileys and cream de menthe shots and Bacardi breezers with the occasional Irish coffee and a pint of Guinness that they will order last as an afterthought and then complain about the wait. 4 a.m. My parents' living room. I'm having a wee decompress and a whiskey. Phone rings, instance kicks in. Town name, Harbour Bore, Happy New Year. A slurred Belfast accent winds into my auditory, cacagnal. For most people reading this, when you think of an Irish accent, you probably think of a Cork or Galway accent, nice and lyrical. This is not the case with a spite of Belfast accent. Think of a dentist drill that runs on tonic wine ordering McDonald's through its nasal passages. In case you don't know what a spite is, it's a noun. If you're English, think shaft, Scottish, think Ned, Morgan, think white trash, I guess, etc, etc. Alright, mucker, I've had ducking cracking time tonight. We're booking the same nights for next year. Room 109, Jamie Jerkface. Ah, sorry mate, you'll have to bother. Town Name Hotel is closing in January and reopening in 2003. The number for reception is 555-5545. This is a private residence. How the duck would you know that? You said this was the bar. Just put me through the reception, you lazy culty C-word. Again, as for those who don't know, culty is a noun, derogatory term for a country person. Aye, screw off, mate. I know, rest for Sharpwit. Oscar Wilde would be proud. Hangs up and phones rings. Don't you ducking dare hangs up on me, you cow ducker bastard. A cow ducker bastard is a bastard who ducks cow. Belfast people often accuse the rules of cow ducking, which is odd because pigs are so much lower maintenance and you can test cosmetics on them to pretty them up. Town and hotel reception is 555-5545. This is a private residence on 555-5554. Don't call again. This happens a few more times because the daft drunk jerk is just hitting redial. It escalates with varying degrees of profanity as we both have drink taken, me to a lesser extent. I unplug the phone from the wall, a few minutes pass, I'm formulating a plan. I plug the phone back in, and then the phone rings. I put on my best receptionist voice. Good morning, Town Hotel reception. How can I help you? Is that Mr. Jerkface from room 109? How may I be of a service? Oh, that's better. I want to book for next year, same nights. Certainly, Mr. Jerkface. We even have a 50% loyalty discount, as you previously guessed. Same days? Oh, ducking right. Okay, that's all booked in for the next year, arriving on the morning of the 31st, yes? Brilliant. Wonderful. We will see you then. And that year, I went away to university, came back for Christmas. Many things happened in the time in between, but then New Year's Eve came along. My folks and I were in the living room looking out at a gigantic hall that used to be a hotel, and our other windows look out over the bay, and having a few beers. A car we don't recognize pulls up opposite the hall where the hotel used to be, and three confused-looking Belfast spies get out beside the big hall where Town's Name Hotel was. Something clicks in the back of my head, and I'm just pissing myself laughing. I explained the whole thing to my dad, who I'd relate the story to. These duckers drove about an hour to get here just to find out they've got nowhere to stay. We enjoyed the show and opened fresh tins as they start screaming at each other in front of our house. It was a fun New Year's Eve. Oh man, this is beautiful, and they deserve that. I died laughing. On to the third story, Walgreens versus Albertsons. I worked at Walgreens. We used to have light blue shirts, like Albertsons, but with the W logo on it, because Walgreens. I had a morning shift and went into Albertsons on my way to work to pick up something for breakfast. A lady asked if I knew where something was. I shop there often, but I wasn't sure on this item, so I said, I think it's in the XYZ aisle. Lady, you think? And they pay you for that? Me, I don't work here? Lady, oh, don't lie to me. I'm going to talk to your manager about this. Me, well, go ahead. He's at the Walgreens down the street. Skip ahead to when I'm checking out. The store manager is the one ringing me out. Lady, I want to complain to you about your employee. Manager, oh, I'm very sorry. Which employee? Lady points at me. Manager points at me. You mean her? Lady, yes, her. Manager, ma'am, she doesn't work here. Lady, oh, yes, she does. She's wearing a blue shirt. Manager, oh, yes, she is, with a Walgreens logo on it. Man, Karens, they're always trying to get people fired. Doesn't matter if it's a person's livelihood. On to the fourth story, the Great Museum Fight. Grab a seat, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna tell you the story of how I had two museums fighting over me. For a little background, I worked as a teacher's aide at a science center from 13 to 17. It was a fun gig, and then I got kids and adults interested in whatever I was teaching due to the fact that I can be extremely animated when I talk. Right next to our science center was a natural history museum. Ours was free to enter, but that one you had to pay for, unless you were an employee of one of the museums. Anyway, on this particular summer Friday, I was 16, and this was around the time a new dinosaur hall had just been opened up at the NHM. So while I waited for my older brother to finish his shift, we both worked there. I figured I'd go to the dinosaur hall and practice some sketching. Well, there, and still in uniform, a woman that had to be in her mid-30s came up to me and asked if I can tell her about a specific skeleton she and her kids were looking at. Still being in work mode and loving to talk about anything prehistoric, I happily agreed. As I got into my mojo, more and more people came up to listen to what I had to say, asking questions and laughing at my horrible dino puns. About 20 minutes later, I had about 40 people following me around the animal exhibits and having a ball until, that is, my brother texted me it was time to bounce. Bidding the group a farewell, I left to enjoy my weekend, not knowing what was about to happen the following week. Turns out a lot of people at the Natural History Museum came up to various managers to say how I was an awesome tour guide. So much so one of the higher-ups had to find out more about me. Once she found out who I was and where I worked, she scheduled a meeting with my boss and the CEO of the Science Center. I come in on Tuesday, clock in, and was about to get my day started when I'm called in to see my boss. Walking into her office, I see her, the CEO of the SC, and a woman. Wondering WTF is going on. I ask what is happening here. The woman walks up and shakes my hand and said she was hiring a manager from NHM. She was discussing with my boss how much someone like me would be perfect for the NHM. My boss cut her off to ask me what this was about. Then it hit me, last Friday. I then explained to my boss and the CEO what happened on Friday, and then they all had a look of clarity on their faces. The manager from NHM was eager to get me on board. However, my boss in the calmest, stylish manner said that was never going to happen. The manager looked at her with silent rage and asked why she thought that. My boss said, first, we have a contract with him, so he can't just join you, and second, he's only 16. What I later found out is that NHM only hires adults. The manager looked at me with confusion. I look about 3 years older than I am. I think it's the height and mustache. This next part I will never forget. My boss, with a grin that looked like it belonged with the love of the child of the Grinch and the Cheshire Cat, sorry manager, but this one is ours. The manager left in a huff, clearly upset she lost the fight. After we knew she was gone, the CEO was pissing himself laughing. Through tears and gasps, he told me try not to do that again. My boss said I might want to stay away from the NHM for a while. The manager wasn't a type to give up so easily, and that is how I became sort of a legend amongst the staff in the SC. Well, that's definitely unoriginal. I've never heard anything where business starts fighting over the employee of other business. Haha, wow. The fifth story. Tales from a vaccination clinic volunteer. So, I volunteer at a few vaccination clinics a week as a non-medical personnel. Generally, we do around like 1,500 per clinic. My job is to sort people from a winding serpentine line, like at airport security, to one of the 1 to 6 lines where you'll get your actual job. Each table has 2 nurses, and we'll take a 15-minute lunch break in shifts, 2 quick bathroom breaks if we're lucky. My favorite part about the clinics, especially for older folks, is that how nice they are and happy to be getting the vaccine. The late 70s and older folks are my favorite, as they have experience with mass vaccination from the measles. Backed up, I have to wait for the lines to get thinned out and get a nice chance to chat with some of them. When I say, sorry for the wait, when I have to pause dozens, some days nearly 100 of them, when we're targeting older folks, we'll say something like, Oh, I don't mind. This is moving much smoother than the measles vaccine side. So, one of the nurses had the audacity to take her lunch break, which led to there only being one nurse for the line and it temporarily moving slower. Cue the Karen. She gets out of the line to storm over to me to tell me her line only has one jabber and I shouldn't have sent her to that line, complaining how slow it is compared to other people's lines, etc. I apologized and explained the nurse will be back from lunch soon, offered to get one of the county employees to come to talk to her. Now, here's an interesting part. Almost every time someone complains and I explain I'm a volunteer and I look very young for my age, that I don't work here, and when I offer to get my manager, they become indignant and say some version of, "No, I'm talking to you." Karen was one of these folks. So, the cop in my section and I really have bonded over the crazy people we have to deal with a few times a day, so he looks at me, huge eye rolls, starts walking over with his chest puffed out and hands under his bulletproof vest to look imposing and hover around Karen. She gets the message and gets back in line. Not 3 minutes later, she comes storming back to inform me she does crowd control professionally so I could listen to her. Her latest bit of feedback is we need people going through the lines taking elderly people's costs and sweaters off of them before they get to the table. Sound like a quick lawsuit to me. Cue the cop, her going back to her line. This process repeats every 2 or 3 minutes with her coming back to give me new feedback and ideas. Now, the final time this happens, I genuinely have no idea what she was complaining about that time. I just turned her out. This sweet little old lady, at least in her 80s, walker and all, was waiting at the door to be sorted and had seen Karen's perpetual berating from further back in the line. Little old lady to Karen. "Excuse me?" Karen. Still ranting about whatever the hell she's saying. Little old lady. "Excuse me?" Karen. "What?" Little old lady. "Has anyone ever told you you're a real tramp?" Karen. Mouth agape for 20 seconds and screams, "How dare you?" Little old lady. "No, how dare you? This young man is a volunteer and offered to get you a manager and you're just being a jerk." Police officer walks over, and I can see him having a harder time suppressing his laughter than I was. Karen demands the woman, probably 30 years older than her, to be removed and that she wants to press charges. Cop laughs and says, "What for?" "Oh, I aspire to be that little old lady when I grow old." That's it for today, fellow humans. Thanks for watching. Be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. See you guys next time.